players have been traveling and stuff too. So we'll have to see how these players adapt and move forward in this upcoming map in Hell's Heaven, as VP is going to be taking on Aconyx in our very first map on Hell's Heaven, the randomly generated domination map of the day. Best out of 3, by the way, if you are wondering. Ban phase, Moxie. What's your first thing you're noticing already? Double Mantis ban?
Yeah, double Mantis, so probably here's a Jeff save coming on through from the side of Virtus Pro, or are they going to put more value into getting a duelist that they want? And indeed, there it is. Dritro's Jeff is going to be kept safe behind the bars of block. AEC lose the opportunity to remove it and instead have to burn the next ban on removing anything that the Jeff can potentially set further up. Venom with the symbiotic shenanigans is the next to go.
So I'm wondering what you think about this, Moxie. Like, the Jeff protects are both coming through, right? And because of that, like you said with the Venom. Yep. What do you think about first ban Jeff instead of first ban Mantis? Because we saw that last series, and Dobie got subbed out because they literally banned his Jeff and he couldn't play anything else.
I mean, Mantis is a really rough one to leave in because the 12% boost can come through at any opportunity. You have no idea whether or not that hit is going to be swinging a lot harder than it should until it's a little bit too late. And it also means if you get one-sided Mantis, your ultimate cycles are going to be generating much faster. When you have things like a Bucky or a Psylocke or a Star-Lord who all really gear around utilizing those ultimates to force and pressure the opponents into a rough situation, you kind of can't allow that to come on through in the slightest. And speaking about not relying, or rather not allowing anything to come on through, that's the Winter Soldier going to be removed on the side of AC, which is now going to be making the dive a lot easier to stick around, but it also leaves out one of those main go-to counters against Dridro's ultimate with Kraken Impact and the CC immunity.
Yeah, beautifully put, Moxie. I mean, Adam Warlock also banned. You talked about Bucky earlier on, and you also mentioned Adam Warlock even before we started on this map.
Adam Warlock, like you said, going to be removed, which now also weakens AEC if they want to go for something like a Luna setup. They're not going to get the Light and Shadow karma. We're likely going to be seeing the Luna pick because so far, Disaster Psylocke has been able to make it all the way through, as has the Emma. So this is going to be all about Aconyx setting Disaster up on the Psylocke, who has been a standout in the matches that they've played. We know that the mechanics are there. This is now about Virtus Pro being able to mark the Psylocke's position and deny the dive from occurring, something which will be a lot easier to do if they're not playing into a retake situation.
Yeah, great points, Moxie, all around. And that draft phase is going to be concluded, sending us into the map, Moxie. Aconyx versus Virtus Pro. Our first time getting cast together, you know, in person, rather. I mean, we've been working together for years outside of Marvel Rivals, but now together in person. And Leg Day, from afar, has been he's probably going to be cringing at my cast. You know, we'll watch it back, and Leg Day's like, damn, Dogman sucks. You know, that should be me. And everybody else can be like that too. And I'm like, you guys are right. Leg Day is the GOAT because he really is that guy. And you guys have been phenomenal so far in EMEA. I mean, I watch all of the EMEA games. But enough about us. Enough about this game. Or starting with this game, Aconyx versus Virtus Pro. Moxie, you mentioned all the things with Adam Warlock comp. It's been tough for Aconyx. Like, they've run that Luna Snow, like you said, set up the Psylocke. But it almost feels like a selfless job that these strategist players play because Egtard has been going down so much on that Luna Snow.
Yeah, I mean, Aconyx are going to be trying to play this undivable composition with both the Rocket and the Jeff. However, they are going to keep the Luna in play to push up Disaster's survivability, which now means that Kuma on the Emma has to be the buffer separating Virtus Pro from getting into that one strategist who's not going to be as mobile as the rest of the team. As the doors open, both sides roll out in it. These are fast-moving compositions, so they're already getting into place to start to find those hits. And that Luna is prime target number 1.
Already diving on the side of the back line of VP, and like you said, that Luna's always going to be target for Egtart. So both of these divers kind of looking for each other. Here comes that Captain America on the back line. Sparker, though, playing in the middle of Angela, resulting in Fi finding that elimination, getting that Bucky mismatch that you talked about, but Kuma brought back into the fight due to the BRB. Fi doesn't care. Takes down Cammy as well. Fi on the Bucky has been popping off lately, but right now has been doing so much for the side of VP, sending back Aconyx already.
Yeah, Fi managing to find the catch as well onto Kuma before the Diamond Form comes on through from that Emma, pushing her further into Virtus Pro's hands. And off the back of one fight, Fi's already 75% to the first Kraken Impact. And this is one of the problems with Aconyx's composition. You're running triple strategists, which means that your Luna is so far behind in ult charge to be able to shut the Kraken Impact down. Going to be even further behind still because you just got picked.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard for Egtart at the current moment because of exactly like you mentioned, the triple strategist composition resulting in him being lower ult charge on, I mean, the A couple patches ago, we had the nerfs to the ultimate, so it takes forever to build it now. VP, huge advantage. Sparker pops it into butterflies. Everybody falls. And VP just looking as good as ever. Well-oiled machine that they are. Aconyx. All the diving team is like, where did my team go?
I mean, Dive just gets to play in full turns and half turns, and that's exactly what Virtus.pro are taking advantage of. Going in with the Dance of the Butterflies before Aconyx had built up any strategist ultimate, which would have been able to stand up to the damages coming on through from those dashes, including something like a Freedom Charge coming on through from Cammy. As we're going to be seeing that Captain America, without the ultimate, is going to have to be up to something like a Dance of the Butterflies from Disaster to open up these spaces. But look at how Virtus.pro are playing. They're expecting it. They're stacking up to make sure that everyone's going to be able to sustain through inside something like Saipei's Infus boundary.
Sparker matching that flank with Disaster. He's been doing so well in these 1v1 matchups, feeling so confident. The BRB doesn't see it over there. Regardless, walked in. Nevix finds the off-map onto Cammy. Head on the spear. Cammy off the map. Captain America. Eggtart gets kicked into a raw. Can't even use the ultimate Moxie. They do commit that see you later. They tried to live in it, but the damage, it's too much from VP. They're saving ultimates even.
Yeah, Aconyx, like, they try to come on through with this 2-angle off hit from the Captain America, but that just leads Nevix into being able to come through with the Assassin's Charge and plummet the Captain America off of the point. And then, like you said, the CC chain from Virtus.pro's players, like, you can see so often the coordination of these professional teams in how they react to a successful MS Carbon Crush. And that was full coordination follow-up. It was absolutely everything onto Eggtart on that Luna, so that after the Carbon Crush had ended, they didn't get the opportunity to use Fate of Both Worlds.
So smart from VP, but we know that at this point. I mean, the squad has been so good, and yeah, I want you to vote VP to win the grand finals. Maybe if we had a voting system, I'm sure if they watched the entire group stages, people would assume VP is just going to win the whole tournament, but we know, you've seen the other group as well. It's so close. Everybody, really, there's like 4 good teams, and we don't know who is actually on top, and maybe we'll learn today because VP really are just sending Aconyx home at the current moment, Finzi.
Finzi with the Aura Farm sitting atop that throne. Virtus.pro surveying the kingdom of Hell's Heaven as we get ready to kick off our second round of domination. Disaster is off of the Sarlacc. He was just getting absolutely gate-kept by Sparker on the other side. Goes to go over to that Star-Lord, potentially wanting to find all of the damages coming on through, as well as marking out Sparker's position himself. He's gonna get the verticality, has both the idle aura from his Luna as well, but that just means if he's caught peeking, Vi finds the hook angle, and Aconyx's entrance is delayed even further.
It's delayed, and right now they're walking in. Their backs against the wall. They do commit that Sonic Seduction, but no eliminations found. Jeff comes through. It's Jeff from Dridro on the backline. Eggtart, can he react? Yes, he does. Comes back into the point, comes to the team, missing that Jeff ultimate, but regardless, they have so many ults to work with. VP now pop, Sonic Seduction, pull off everybody inside that dance floor, trying to live on the backside. Disaster cannot, and with that, Kovac comes through. Maybe, oh my god, the Dance of the Butterflies to Sparker as well. Finds 2. BRB may not matter because of how much damage Sparker has done with the Dance of the Butterflies, and that sends back Aconyx once more.
I mean, they didn't have Fate of Both Worlds to be able to shut down the Dance of the Butterflies because it got forced. The CC immunity frames of the Lunar ultimate had to be used to dodge Dridro's ultimate, which means that Virtus.pro, they just count it down. 10 seconds, go sign for Dance of the Butterflies, and out comes Eggtart now off of the Luna. It was too vulnerable, too easy to walk on. Instead, we're going over to the Invis woman. Harder to be able to pin down with the dive, but also better for Disaster with the Guardian Shield staggers. But Virtus.pro, they've got the Kraken impact, and Freedom Charge is not going to be enough to stand up to all of the damage the Winter Soldier can do, especially if it's combined with the slow from Saipei.
It's too much. I mean, it's overwhelming presence right now from VP. They go to touch the point, but of course VP read it. Kovac brought back. Disaster finds one. Maybe he can come back in. Has that Galactic Legend in just a moment, but with that elimination, they can take full advantage. This is the opportunity for Aconyx. Can they fully collapse on VP? VP's reading it. I mean, they're going back to the point already, building up ultimate charge. Yeah.
This Galactic Legend could be huge. They don't have a defensive. They use the Invis boundary to be able to stand up to Mercury's Cosmic Ion Amplifier, which means that they just have to put the pressure the traditional way onto Disaster. Nevix goes up into the sky, body blocks all of the hits. Dridro gets the Joyful Splash as well to connect onto the duelist. And this is just looking like a dominant performance currently. Out comes another It's Jeff. Kuma getting caught up into a Carbon Crush, and Eggtart has no choice but to use the Invis boundary to try and save them, but gets caught out of their own ultimate and taken out back.
Yeah, poor Agdar into the corner, and there she goes. You know, you can't stay invisible when 3 people are shooting you. Here comes the Dance of the Butterflies. Everybody's sort of grouped up for it. Can't find an elimination on Dridro. No! The healing's so good from them. Everybody keeping each other alive, even through. Yeah, the patty cake is enough to keep them, and Kovac goes down.
Yeah, not just the patty cake, but the shields as well coming on through from Finzi, Nevix, and the Guardian shield from Saipei too. We've got another invisible boundary. They're going to have it for overtime, which means that Aconyx have no choice but to go directly into the slow. Mercury's going to have the Cosmic Yawn amplified, but that's going to be broken in no time with all of the sustain that Virtus Pro have.
Kuma comes in. Maybe they could touch with it. See you later, but you're right. Everybody going to be shooting that ultimate coming in from Aconyx. No more ults out of them either. VP comes in. Heavens fall down to the back line. Catches Egtart again. And oh no! He's set up like a volleyball against the pole. And with that VP, I mean, they just destroy Aconyx. No portal just yet out of them. But with overtime spawns and everybody removed from the point, they know the inevitable is coming. VP, win on map number 1.
They don't even match the Cosmic Yawn amplifier with the Invis boundary. They wait for it to be done because it's just an overtime play. And at that point, Aconyx just had no way of actually being able to walk up with the Cosmic Yawn amplifier into the spaces that Virtus Pro had hidden themselves away from. So instead, once the Cosmic Yawn amplifier's heal tick has been finished, out comes Virtus Pro aggressively swinging on through with an Invis boundary for a slow that Aconyx have no choice but to walk into, leading directly into Heaven's Retribution, coming on through to scoop them right up into the middle of it so that they can't escape.
It's beautiful. I mean, I like to think that VP plays almost like the perfect way in this current patch.
Speaking about perfect, some of their players didn't even go down a single time.
Yep. Yeah, no, not even a single elimination. And I think you talked about Dridro. I think that was a great point early on about him on Jeff. It almost feels like you can't let him play the Jeff because, I mean, you can see not even going down once. And obviously Sparker on Psylocke's always a menace. But yeah, I mean, not seeing Sparker having to play that Jeff as well as seeing how good Dridro has been seems to be the next evolution for VP. I think you've been a big proponent of this, of putting your star player on a lot of the strongest heroes this patch. And Sparker, he's still on his mains.
I mean, Virtus Pro too, like the way that they just played aggressively against Aconyx rather than using defensives, it wasn't reactionary, it was full preventative measures coming on through from this team, and it plays into their strong suits absolutely perfectly. They get to be as aggressive as they want to, but they have the discipline to know when not to go that extended. As we can see, like these opportunities, right? Getting the Eat onto the Invis, taking her all the way to the rest of the team so that they can set up for things like the Tainted Voltage from the Winter Soldier, which would, if it connected, have prevented the double jump, which would have then led into the Invis actually kicking on through.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that VP does well, and you mentioned Nevix as well. I think Nevix has been a big proponent of this team succeeding. I mean, the veterancy we've talked about in hero shooters in general throughout, but I mean, it can't be understated that VP, I mean, they all have very experienced players. They all know how to rotate exactly, and I don't know, like it feels like for Marvel Rivals, you have to adapt so quickly to metas and patches and stuff in the banning phase, Moxie, because you're a very high-level coach, and we're going into the draft phase here. And I know Aconyx are, you know, there's more than just the draft that's against the wall that has them in a tough spot right now. But if you were Aconyx draft-wise, would you even do the Mantis ban first? How would you go about the draft phase? Because I know you're a very high-level coach when it comes to this game as well.
I mean, I would still keep the Mantis ban, but I would do exactly what Aconyx have done. Take Virtus Pro to a map where the Jeff isn't going to be as problematic, right? So we go over to Symbiotic Surface. If Aconyx want to run this composition with things like the Hela and the Namor, and they have done that in the past, you can use this as the anti-dive strategy. It's hard to play into attack-wise, but on the defense, you've already got all of those angles pre-established. So if you can find those opening eliminations, the dive is entirely stopped before it can even get to your doorstep.
Great points all around, and they're going for the same ban phase again, Moxie. I don't know. He's just throwing in the white flag potentially out of their squad. I mean, like they're just going for mere comps. I mean, did the gentleman's agreement, hey, we just want to play the same comp? Or, I mean, obviously that's not exactly competitively fair, so they probably didn't do that. But regardless, I mean, they're just going for the exact, you know, mere match on either side, except now the Psylocke and Bucky comes through in the ban phase.
So we're going to be seeing the Psylocke ban from Aconyx's end to deny Sparker. We're going to be seeing Virtus Pro removing the Winter Soldier so that if they do want to go for either a dive or put, you know, Finzi back onto that Angela, they're going to have all of the staying power without having to worry about one of the major forms of CC. Out comes the Emma as well, which is going to be able to prevent rushdown, while also meaning that you have all of the heal opportunities, plus you can play a split 50-50 composition with your Emma pushing onto the objective and pushing up the front line, while the rest of your Vanguards, given the fact that Captain America still hasn't seen a ban just yet from Aconyx's end, can play the dive and look to rotate hard left or hard right.
Yeah, they have those rotations down pat, like you mentioned, and you know, Finzi was going to be the one playing the that Emma Frost more than likely. And from everything you've seen in the MEA, I think that a lot of people call them the oldest Vanguard line in the game, right? In VP having both Finzi and Nevix there. But, you know, at times they're like, okay, maybe VP could improve by replacing them. Why are these two not replaceable on VP? What are they doing so differently than other Vanguards, than EMEA in general, that results in them being still at the top, still being one of the best Vanguards in the game, even though people are, you know, maybe racking on their age and stuff like that, because they still are playing at such a high level. What's your take on it, Mox?
I mean, the micro is insane, but the macro, the experience that they have playing in previous other titles, they understand the timings, and they also have that prior experience to be able to deal with the current meta, which has moved into more of a dive stability, right? We've got dive, we've got counter dive, so you want players who understand the ins and outs, because dive isn't a constant uptime composition. It's trying to hit you at these unexpected moments. So you have to have Vanguards who understand whether it's worth sacrificing their position on the front line to peel for their strategist, or if that's what the dive actually wants, and it's better to retain your position on the front line and let the strategist or a duelist come through and fend for themselves instead.
Great points all around, Moxie. We're heading in to Celestial Husk for our second map. Sorry, Celestial...
Symbiotic Surface.
Symbiotic Surface, damn it! See, this is why Leg Days is better caster, because I confuse my symbiotes and the maps apparently, but we are coming into a convergence map type is what Aconyx want to do, and they're doing their classic Hella Namor composition on the defensive side, Moxie.
They're going to be playing it on the offensive side, which is going to be a little bit harder. However, they do have the strange portal to open themselves up an angle to get the Hela and Namor into a position and try and force Virtus.pro into a map flip, although it looks like first they're going to be pushing up just to make sure that the path is clear and the strange portal wouldn't be CC cancelled, as we're going to see Virtus.pro likely react to this by flipping their map rotation entirely. As you can see, the Groot's already ramped up to be able to let Virtus.pro climb their way into the opposing high ground.
Here they go into the point. They start off with that clap from the Luna Snow into the objective for now. Setting off VP to the max side. It's that experience, like you said, just holding down that front line. Koopa just got dominated, and Vi on the back line takes down Egg-Tart. A disaster, removing any hope that AC had in that fight. VP win fight number 1.
Yeah, it wasn't the best portal placement, to be honest. If you're playing for the Hela and Namor, you really want the high ground so that you have the poke angles with both your Hela and your Namor. They played a little bit too close to Virtus.pro, so a good force physics and then a huge carbon crush coming on through from Finzi, managing to just entirely stifle out that push. That means Aconyx are going to struggle into this next one. They have to walk their Hela and Namor into a position which is going to be far too close to comfort for Fi on this Daredevil, who's already looking to hit in on an off angle.
Yeah, fantastic point because of how hard these comps are to make work through these heavy chokes. It was a great call out, and now they come in on the inside angle. Everybody's still 6 snacking as a cohesive unit, which I'm assuming you would want a Bucky in this case, but you do at least set up the Hell on the flank. Kovac does get that Luna Snowflake, so he has some sustain, but he's not able to take positioning because Fi's over there just marking him the whole time.
Well, they're going to be coming on through with that Horn of Proteus, just trying to line everyone up from Virtus.pro, but that's when we're going to see the Invis Magic come on through, overlapped by Cypace. Both of these teams going to get slowed. However, Virtus.pro is a little bit later, so Aconyx have to end up with their fade off both wards, but they don't have the damage boost. They don't have the Horn of Proteus to shut down the win condition from Virtus.pro, which is Spark is cracking impact, and it's certainly making an impact in this fight. Aconyx are sent back to the spawn.
Yeah, they got eaten by their own Jeff, sent back to their spawn indeed, but they're met by a Bucky who got spit out of a Jeff's mouth, and the walls slow them down for now. Kovac able to find one. He's been a bright spot in this AC squad, but can it do enough for this team on Hela at the current moment with how well the backline have been keeping VP alive? Nevix and squad fall back.
The Guardian Shield coming on through from Saipei to buy time for Nevix to get out of the Luna free CC. Means that the grid is not going to fall, however, Kovac has been able to find an off angle that the Guardian Shield isn't going to be able to prevent. But that means that there's one less player on the front line, and Virtus.pro do as Virtus.pro want. They move aggressively into a numbers advantage fight. Fi doesn't care about the Soul Drainer, he's still got his ejection up, and they're just going to keep on moving as Aconyx are certainly going to have objections with how close Virtus.pro are getting to that spawn.
Absolutely. They're calling their lawyer. They're mentioning how a Daredevil has been destroying their roster, and a little land shark named Jeff. Fridro able to take down one of the spawn. And with a minute left, Moxie, it does seem like AC's tournament dreams maybe could be crumbling in front of their very eyes regardless, but they've still made it here this far. They still competed out of the open division. This has been an incredible tournament for them, and to go against VP, it's an honor, right, to be kind of in the situation, right?
Well, we're going to be seeing an aggressive play coming on through. They deny the title Dirge team up to put Disaster over to the Psylocke. He does get the projection with the Emma team up as the Devil is let out. And so too is the Invis boundary let in. Fi gets fully slowed and taken down. Goddess of Death to avoid the strangling prison. It's Chef and Kraken Impact all at the same time. And the players are just not stacked up enough even through the Invis boundary. Dance of the Butterflies finds its mark. And Aconyx have broken through the line.
I mean, they've maybe lulled VP to sleep. Finzi takes down Disaster on the back angle. Portal play coming through from Fi in the spawn. They want to come back, but a tick's already been given. Maybe two. Aconyx grab onto it. They also have Sonic Seduction available. VP have nothing except the shields, but Sparker, he takes down Kuma. Comes in with the rest of the squad. Blaster Barrage into his back line, and unfortunately for Cammy, has to back up. Scythe able to take down Kovac. Cammy trying to create space, and he can't. Only 69% of the board for Aconyx. They are held by VP.
Still, their composition that they started out with, it wasn't an offensive composition. It's a much better defensive composition. This could still be a full hold if they manage to stop Virtus.pro's portal push, because that is the biggest thing that a Hela and Namor pick composition has to worry about when you don't get the opportunity to actually shoot them on their rotation walk-up.
I'm curious, what would you do, Moxie, if you know the read's coming, right? You know they're coming with the portal play. Would you go for maybe like you could set up in the spawn, cancel it with a stun? Is it worth doing a cheese play like that, or are you too far away from your point where it's too risky?
Yeah, it's really risky trying to go for a cancel on a portal, especially because like Virtus.pro, if they want to get this portal off, they're going to stack players in front of this range so that you can deny it, right? There is some forms of CEC that would be able to get that done. Things like the Hawkeye with the Luna that we see on Hell's Heaven all the time. However, that's run on domination because you can literally just go back into your spawn room and change off of the hero immediately. On the defense, what you pick at the beginning is what you have to stick with for the first fight.
Well, you watched a Black Widow sort of cheesy comp, per se, with Mantis. You could maybe do that kind of stuff throughout a whole map if you're good enough, like you saw with the Crazy Raccoon
Mantis
game.
is banned.
Mantis is banned, but Hawkeye. But I'm saying with Hawkeye, they could stick with the Hawkeye maybe, with the Luna. They potentially could. It would probably not work out because, like you mentioned, it's a hope and a prayer at this point.
Yeah.
69% chance is not even close to what VP chances are to winning this game. It's more like 99.99% for VP to take AC. But they have maybe a sliver, right? Maybe in a Doctor Strange sort of world, they could do it.
Well, it's not a Doctor Strange portal that they have to worry about, and right now, it's not a Doctor Strange that Nevix has to worry about, it's the Logan directly behind you. Disaster tries to come in through with an opening grab, doesn't manage to find it. The passive immediately procs, and that's just Aconyx losing all of their players in one go, unfortunately, as it looked like they were on a composition that wants to let Virtus.pro walk in towards them, but that meant that both the Starlord and the Daredevil got to close up the distance before Aconyx made their move.
And VP and Finzi sitting on his throne, his Ice Diamond throne for VP's side, 2-0 AC, and I would say that everybody kind of expected that per se, but also, I mean, VP have been looking like the best team so far, at least in this group stage, and are going to try to continue that run into the playoffs, right? It's all about maintaining momentum, and that's why they never really let their foot off the gas, Moxie. There was never a time where we could say VP looked bad in that series, right?
Yeah, and you were saying at the beginning of the series, right, that was kind of what was important for Virtus.pro in this match, to look unshakable. And they looked unshakable. They really looked like they had that aggression, the synergy, the discipline, as well as that might be, you're pointing it out, I can see you getting closer to the screen. The shortest symbiotic surface that we've seen is Virtus.pro full hold.
Yeah, it's quite a difference from, that full... They've had some hard games in EMEA, right? Just on this map, too, on Symbiotic Surface. And we've seen teams take them to places like Midtown on the second map, and that's not a good idea versus VP. But going back into the highlights, Sparker put on a performance map number 1, but the whole team really came together. Yeah,
I mean, you can see where Aconyx's game plan was coming into play, right? They wanted the Wolverine. They read that Virtus.pro were going to be playing things like the Groot so that it could empower the Kraken Impact wombo combo coming on from Sparker's Winter Soldier. And that meant that they had to let Virtus.pro walk